All right, guys, we're going to do a real quick TI-Nspire Refresher video. And actually, what I'm using for this is the software that's available to you. I'm going to go ahead and apologize that this is not available on a Chromebook. But if you have a PC or a Mac that is not a Chromebook, that you can actually download this software. I sent you guys a link so that you can see it and use it for your math work every single day, or whatever you really need to do. So I just want to again go through a refresher real quick and just kind of again help you to try to. I know you've not had one of these in your hand for a while, so maybe just go over a few things to make sure that you're ready for this test that's coming up on Tuesday. So again, when your Nspire comes up, or if it doesn't come up, then obviously you can just click this on button, which is also the home button. And this will also get you to any of the other features that you've kind of got on your calculator. Obviously, the one that we use more than any other is the scratch pad. Now, you've got two different ways to get there. You can, from the home screen, you can just, again, either click A or click B, whether you want to use the calculator or you want to use the graphing function. But you've also got a button right here underneath escape. So again, if I click this one time here underneath escape, again, if you get into anything you don't you want to back out of, escape is a good thing. So if you're in something that you don't want to be into, for example, I don't know, if you're into something over here and you want to get back to the regular home screen, obviously you can hit home, but you can also hit escape to get you back. But if we look here, here's basically our calculator. It looks like just a blank screen, but again, there's all kinds of stuff that this calculator can do. Obviously, this section down in here is what you're going to be using more than anything to do just your basic operations. 7 times 6, hit enter, there's your answer, 42. One of the things I do want to note out here is you notice that I have a subtraction symbol here and I have a negative symbol here. Okay, so make sure that you know the difference between those two. That will make a huge difference. Obviously, if you're putting anything, for example, if I take -2 squared, okay, what your calculator is doing is it's saying, okay, this negative's hanging out front, and I've got 2 squared. So 2 squared is 4, and because the negative's hanging out front, it applies that negative to the 4. Well, we know that -2 squared is not really -4. So one of the things I want to caution you about is make sure that you put things in parentheses that are negatives. So if I have -2 squared, and I bet I put the subtraction symbol, let's see if it knows what to do. It still knows what to do. So -2 squared is 4, which makes sense. -2 times -2 is +4. So make sure that you use parentheses around things when you are taking a negative, and especially when you're squaring it, because it does make a huge difference. Okay. Obviously, there's all kinds of other buttons over here as well underneath control, as well as some over here. Um, so obviously, if you need to take, like we just did, if you need to take 3 and square it, there's your squared term. And always you just hit enter to make it go ahead and do the calculation that you're wanting it to do. If you need to take 3 and raise that to the third power, you would use this caret that's right here. Okay, 3 to the third power, and hit enter, and it'll give you that as well. Again, these here are really for logarithms and exponential functions, which you're probably not going to have on this particular test. The trig button you may have to use. So if you need to find, let's say, sine of an angle, remember that you also on this, and this brings me to something else, you also have to put your degree sign in. Your calculator doesn't really know what you need to do. So this kind of brings me to special characters. If you look down here, you see a pi sign. So you see there's all kinds of special characters here, and lo and behold, right there's a degree sign. So we could go ahead and do sine of 30 degrees, and it will tell us that that's 0.5. Another place that you will find that, and this time we'll do cosine, for example. Let's say 60 degrees. You could also find that over here beside of the G. You see this little button right over here that has question mark, exclamation point, all these other things. Notice as well that there's a degree sign right there. So it's actually in a couple of different spots. It's not just in one spot. And again, that will give us coincidentally the same exact thing. All right. So again, there's kind of special buttons that you may need to hit, as well as finding special characters. again, just looking at a few of those, if you need to do 30%, instead of trying to figure out how do I take 30% and make that a decimal, you can actually hit again this question mark and you see a percent sign right here. Let's say times, I don't know, 40. So taking 30% of 40, and there we go. The answer would be 12. So you can see how those will kind of work for you as well. If you can hit this control button, you'll notice that there's little blue things above these. Those will actually do special functions for you as well. So let's say you need to put in a fraction, for example. This is probably one of the things you're going to be doing more than anything else. Now, your buttons on your calculator are going to be yellow, and they're going to have little yellow things above them, but it's the same exact thing. So let's say I need to put in a fraction. Well, I hit Control and the divide sign, and notice it kind of puts it in that format for me. So if I needed to say take 1/2 times 68, find 1/2 of 68, then that equals 34. Okay. So again, Control Divide will give you a fraction. Something else that you may have to do is find the square root of something. So you notice you got a square root symbol right here above x squared. So if you hit Control and that, it will allow you to do the square root. So say the square root of 49 actually equals 7. So you can see there's a lot of different functions on just the calculator portion of this particular calculator. What I want you to understand as well is there's also a grapher on this calculator, which can be very, very, very valuable. Okay. So let's go ahead. How to get to that is just click this scratch pad button again underneath of escape, or you can go back to the home screen and hit the graphing either way. But if you toggle this button, then it will toggle between the two different functions. Okay. Notice it comes up with f1 of x. f1 of x is absolutely the same as just saying y equals. Okay. So let's just say, for example, we had y equals 2x plus 3. And we just hit enter. And lo and behold, there we go. It's giving me the graph of 2x plus 3. And again, it may be asking questions like, does this have a positive slope? Well, if you notice from left to right, it's going uphill, so it would be a positive slope. If it asks you what's the y-intercept, well, that's where it crosses the y-axis, so that would be right there at positive 3. So you can see a lot of things just from looking at a particular graph. Let me give you one more example, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to clear this calculator. So you've did a lot of stuff, right? We've did a lot of stuff here. We did a graph here, and we want to just start over. Remember that you can hit Dock and B, and that will clear out everything for you. Okay. So let's go back to our graph. And again, you can do it from here. You can use your little mouse pad and move over to here and click it. And let's just say we're asked to find the roots or the zeros or solve for x of this equation. We're given something like x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay. And we're told to find the zeros. Well, if you go ahead and hit enter here, you'll notice that the zeros are the roots, or for solving for x, we're looking for the values of x that make this thing equal 0. Well, it's where you're crossing the x-axis. Well, we know it's roundabout here and roundabout there, but we really need to make sure we've got correct answers, right? So I've already graphed this. So I could go to menu. If you don't know what to do, always hit menu. And notice it says, I've got something here that says trace and graph trace. If I go ahead and click that, notice it puts me a bullseye. That's what I like to call it, a bullseye on my graph. Now I can go over here and I can click my left button over here. You can see that highlighting in red over there on my calculator. And every time I click that, it's getting closer and closer and closer to hitting the x-axis. And notice as soon as I hit that, okay, as soon as I get there, it tells me that I've got a 0, and it tells me that that 0 is -2. Okay, if I keep going with my left click, you notice there it gave me the minimum. Okay, and it'll also give you that, as well as if I keep going to the left, notice it says 0 again and a 0 at -4. So my two answers for this particular question would be -4 and -2. So you can kind of see how the graph will really help you. Now, what you say? Well, what if I'm not set equal to y? What in the world do I do? Well, again, I'm going to do a Doc B to clear everything out. And that's a good practice to keep you from getting confused from one problem to the other. Go ahead and go to there. I could also, again, toggle with my button here. I'm going to go back to my graph, and I'm given something where I need to find the center of a circle. And I'm given this big, huge equation that I don't know what in the world to do anything with. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hit backspace or the delete button right here. And notice that it brings me to this, and it's saying, okay, what do you want in here? Do you want less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, or equals? What do you want? Well, we're going to go down to relation. And when I go down to relation, I can literally type anything I want. So again, we're asked to find the center of this circle. And we're given this big old huge equation like this. X minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared. You're thinking to yourself, well, I'd never know how to do this. Well, it's okay because the calculator is going to do it for you. So we're given a problem like this, okay? And we're asked to find the center of the circle. We're like, how in the world do I even do that? Well, again, this calculator can do it if you can just find a way to put it in there. And in relation mode, you can literally type in an equation any way you want. So here's the magic moment. You ready? We hit enter, and voila, there's my circle. And I can see just kind of from looking here that my circle, my center, is over 3 and down 2. So it's at 3, -2. So again, hopefully this has been helpful. And if you need any help before ACT test time, just make sure to get back with us and we'll be glad to help.